Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Francophile Reader. So it's been a long time since I made a video, and in fact, I had planned to finish The Three Musketeers on November 1st and to make my final video about that book. But I had a lot of other things going on and I wasn't able to finish the book. So I will be finishing this book this year. And I will make a wrap-up video. Anyone who has read the book in the past can watch the video. It will be a spoilery video, and I will share my final thoughts about the novel. It was a really big book, and I was really enjoying it, but I have been planning a lot of different things in my own personal life and also in my own work. So I am currently in the proposal stage of my thesis. So in the United States, we take courses for 2 to 3 years. In my program, it's 3 years of coursework. And then at the end of that, we write a proposal for our thesis, which in the United States is called a dissertation. But I'm going to use the word thesis so that no one is confused, because I know the word dissertation means something different in the UK. It means something different in France. So I'm going to use the word thesis because I think that's a better word. And this got me thinking about the study of literature and what we think literature study is. And by we, I guess I mean BookTube. I have been watching a few videos about literature and literature classes and how literature classes in high school were not as exciting as some people had hoped. So I wanted to talk about literature and literature study and what I think the point of literature study is. And the reason why I think that I can speak to this is because working in a PhD, I am working on research in this area. When I say that I'm doing a PhD in French, people think that I'm working in linguistics, and I'm not. I am working on literature. Personally, I am mostly working on nonfiction and rhetoric. My work is on the 16th century, Reformation, France and Geneva, and I guess I'm going to be primarily working on texts surrounding the French Wars of Religion. So a really ugly time period, but I think one that is very, very important. Let's begin with high school and what I think are some misconceptions about literature classes in high school. Now, in the United States, different schools have different language requirements, but nearly everyone has to take some kind of an English class. And early on, you have to take language arts classes, the focus being on grammar and vocabulary, but eventually you are assigned certain books for school. Now, BookTube for most people is a hobby. It's certainly a hobby for me. And on top of that, most people who are reading for fun, and that is totally fine. That is the purpose of BookTube, I think. However, that is not the point of an English class. The point of an English class is not entertainment, though I think it is good when a high school teacher chooses a text that has wide appeal, that students do generally enjoy reading. So, for example, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, or The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. But the primary purpose of a literature class is to teach critical thinking and to teach students how to formulate an argument. It's for students to also get an idea of the history of literature, to understand why a text is historically significant. And that means that that text may not actually be the most enjoyable. And I think that that's perfectly fine. When it comes to a math class or a physics class, certainly there are students who enjoy math and who enjoy physics, but we never really ask math and science teachers to be entertaining. We don't even think that the purpose of math and science is to foster a love of math and science. We don't think that that's the primary purpose of those classes. But when it comes to an English class, I hear this all the time. People are disappointed that students in high school have to read texts that they may not enjoy because they think that the purpose of an English class is to foster love of reading. Now, fostering a love of reading is a great thing, and I think that can be one of the goals of an English class, but I do not think it's the primary goal at all. And this is why literature is studied also in university and then all the way up to a PhD. The goal of literature study is to explore culture, history, sociology. It is a tool for examining society. And that means reading things that aren't always the most entertaining because they have had an influence on society, or maybe even looking at the history of literature. I've had to read books on reading lists that I didn't particularly enjoy, but that wasn't really the point. The point was for me to understand its significance. Now, I'm all for diversifying the canon, and I think that that's very important so that we can examine society and questioning things like, say, if you're assigned Heart of Darkness, writing about the representation of Africans in Heart of Darkness, I think is very important because, again, literature, the study of literature becomes a tool to examine society and culture and religion, sociology, humanity. Criticizing a book is perfectly fine, but you need to have strong arguments. Saying, well, I didn't enjoy it personally, misses the purpose of a literature class. Now, what do I do now? Currently, my thesis very broadly looks at the rhetoric of martyrologies. So martyrologies are collections of stories about martyrs. In this case, because I'm working on the 16th century, I'm looking at Protestant martyrs and the rhetoric employed in these texts. This is important, I think, for thinking about Protestant identity in France, the Huguenots. It's important for understanding Protestant-Catholic interactions, maybe even, different conflicts among the Huguenots. I don't think that a high school English class should aim to produce PhDs in English literature or French literature or Spanish literature or whatever. But I do think that it should try to teach critical thinking and to teach students how to write argumentative essays, to have a thesis statement, to back up their arguments, to have a good introduction and a good conclusion. And I think that these are very, very important skills. I understand that, again, not everyone on BookTube wants to approach literature this way, and that's fine. But I think that a class is trying to do something different. And sometimes saying, well, why are teachers assigning this text and not whatever is popular at the moment? Which could be something that could be assigned. I mean, if it is something that you can actually talk about, it could certainly be assigned. But the primary goal of an English class or any kind of literature class, I don't think has ever been to foster a love of reading. I mean, maybe for first graders. But once you're in a high school, we're doing something different. You can also get to the point of understanding something's important, like the importance of a work, without enjoying it. And indeed, something could be really odious and also very important, and therefore necessary to study. That's my video. I am currently in the proposal stage of my thesis, studying rhetoric and thinking about the ways that words are used to create a following, because we do it all the time. I'm doing it right now, you're doing it on social media, whatever presidential candidate is doing it. We use words all the time, and that, I think, is the purpose of studying literature. Let me know what your experience has been with high school literature. For myself, studying Lord of the Flies in 8th grade was transformative because that was the first time I ever really understood imagery. Now, I know that the imagery is very in your face, but it wasn't for me. I would only summarize the text, never really going into it. And it was my 8th grade teacher, my 8th grade English teacher, who introduced me to the world of literary analysis, and it was amazing. For me, literature study did foster a love of learning and a love of reading, but it fostered a new way of reading, a way of reading that has also, I feel, made me better human, more critical thinker, and also more articulate, at least in my writing. I'm still struggling with videos. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.